Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of GRAFFTV. Tonight, we have another legendary figure in studio. A killer from the early 2000s who resurrected his infamous name. You can see him up all over Los Angeles, the streets, the freeways, and billboards. An MVP career that spans over 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, a Los Angeles Hall of Famer. The notorious Caltrans killer, the one and only Dr. One. Yes. Hey, Dr. One, it's great to finally meet you, man. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
We always like starting our interviews from the very beginning, man.
All right.
So with that being said, who are your parents and where are they from?
My parents, they're from Juarez, Mexico. But they were here since a young age, like at 2 years old and 13. And they grew up more American than Mexican. And yeah, we grew up in East LA.
Do you know how they met?
I think my dad seen my mom walking to school and he just got at her and they came over here after.
Can you describe what type of people they are?
They're chill. Growing up, we kind of ran the streets on our own. They were there, but at the same time they weren't. So we kind of just did what we wanted.
Where were you born?
I was born in East LA.
How long did you live there, or were you raised there as well?
Yeah, I lived there pretty much all my life. I lived in Texas for like 2 years at a young age, but pretty much just East LA.
Do you come from a big family?
My dad's side is big, but as far as how I grew up, it's just my brother and my two sisters, my mom and dad. And like my cousins just like lived in Texas, Colorado, but.
What was growing up in East LA like in those early days?
As a kid or?
Yes, as a kid, as a young kid.
It was cool. Just a lot of other kids on the street too. Just like, sometimes we'll be like 30 deep on the block, just playing kick the can or playing basketball.
What area of East LA did you grow up in?
By the 710 and the 5.
As a young kid, before graffiti, what were you like? What hobbies were you into?
Honestly, I can't remember.
Were you a troublemaker as a kid? A good kid?
Nah, I was real calm. Still calm.
When was the first time you remember noticing graffiti on the streets? Before you wrote, but just noticed it in passing. Do you remember?
Probably like at 9, 10 years old. My brother started writing. He was like 2 years older than me.
What did he write?
In the beginning, I don't remember. I remember more when I started writing, which was like in 95. I started going to school with him. He was in the 8th grade. I was in the 6th grade. And when I entered the 6th grade, he was already writing. He had his own little crew right there. And yeah, I just kind of fell into it right there. Got into it because of him.
Do you notice that he's writing accidentally? Does he tell you and encourage you to start your own writing career, or what happens?
Now, when I was 9, they would go around the block to go tagging like a few kids, like part of that group of 30. There's probably 10 of them that started writing, and they'll go around the block to tag, and like the rest of it would just keep playing. And then I didn't get to junior high when I started really noticing, like everything opened up to me, like everything on the street just opened up. I just started noticing everything.
Who were these early writers that you would see in your neighborhood? Can you name a few?
Yeah, I was going to school in South Central. I was still in East LA, but I was going to school in South Central as a magnet program. So we'll bus it out there we'll drive to Boyle Heights, catch a bus right there, and then head to South Central. But like just from East LA to Boyle Heights, like I'll see like the ones I noticed the most was like some dude Gray from DFW and Spare from DFW. Those were the two main ones. And then like there was Solo, and then like just a bunch of other names that wrote with them. And then like on the way to school, like we'll be on I don't even know what freeways actually, like probably the 10, the 101, and I was just able to see like a bunch of stuff like on that route.
What were your initial thoughts on graffiti? Do you remember?
Just a little sketchy about it. Like when my brother would take off around the block, I'm like, damn, like what are you gonna do? Like why are you doing that? And stuff like that. But I didn't look down on it or anything. That just like a little sketch about it.
How long after seeing your brother write do you get involved in graffiti yourself?
Probably like 2 years later.
What attracts you to it at that time when you think it's sketchy, but then you get into it yourself?
Like once hit the 6th grade, which is junior high. And, like, he had his own little crew. He had his, like, a group of friends. And I just started rolling with them and, like, just started liking it, you know. I remember catching my first tag right there in school. They took me to the restroom, gave me a marker. I just wrote. And they're like, oh, yeah, he could write. Like, I was like, I just wrote, you know what I mean? Like, just my name. And that was it. They're like, all right.
Does your brother or your brother's friends mention some of the rules of graffiti to you? And what are those rules that they teach you?
Honestly, they didn't. We were just like, they were about writing, but it was kind of like, we were kids, but it was like kind of like tag banging a little bit, but within school, with the other little crews right there. But they didn't really teach me nothing. I just not to rank it. If someone wants to get down with you, get down with them, stuff like that.
In the late 90s, you attend John Muir Junior High School on Vermont and Slauson.
Yeah.
Was this where you spread your wings out more and began your graffiti career? When you really got into it?
No, I was still learning. I was just like, I think like I was learning. In 6th grade, I was just learning, like just following what my brother was doing. And then when he left, because he was in 8th grade, like I just started, like I felt like my tags were getting like a little more flowing, a little more better. They weren't that good, but they were like, it just felt more comfortable. But I felt like I started making, getting noticed when I hit high school. But junior high, I was just like learning and just getting into trouble, tagging, getting caught right there.
In this junior high era, are you hitting up Thus, Thus? Was that your first name?
I was, but that wasn't my first name. I had a lot of names. I went through like a bunch of them in the 6th grade. But Thus was one of them that went like into 7th. And there was like a lot of them. Like every week I would change it, like just trying to figure it out.
Besides Dr. One, what was your second most used name? Do you remember?
Probably Thus.
Thus? How do you get that name?
I heard a song, and I thought it said that, but I don't think it even said that. But when I heard it, it said Thus, and I just started writing it.
What other names besides Thus do you try out?
Oh, shit. Spray. There was a bunch of them. Just like every week I was just changing them, just like trying to figure it out.
Let's go back to talk about your first tag. Can you walk us through what happens again?
Back then, like those little crews, they were like tag banging, like they'll jump you in to the little crew. So I get jumped in, we go to lunch, and they tell my brother, oh, this fool just got in. Like, he already knew, but they just told him, like, yo, we got him in. And they're like, I don't even know what kid. Like, oh, here's a marker, go tag in the restroom. All right, let's go.
What kind of marker do they give you?
It was like a marks a lot, just like a regular marker, little black marker. Just like probably like 4 or 5 of us went to the restroom. I just caught a spot, like little roll call, and then that was about it.
For how long do you write the name Thus?
Probably like the middle of 6th grade into 7th grade.
Do you ever get caught writing Thus in school?
I didn't get caught with, I never caught writing my name, no.
Why do you eventually stop writing Thus? What happens?
I came up with a doctor.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Sticking with junior high, what other writers are you hanging out with at this time? Just your brother's crew? Are there other known crews in school?
Yeah, pretty much just my brother's crew, and then like everyone was from it. There was like 3 crews maybe back then, and like we're like the majority, and we're just right there, like just deep.
Who were the remaining lunatics?
That's a TRL. That's from that was during junior high too. Like it was funny because I was in junior high. We started. There was a few crews in East LA with those kids I grew up with, and like we'll rep TRL like on the street, and then when we're at school, we're repping that other crew. So we'll go back and forth kind of.
Who were your fellow TRL members? Do you remember some of their names?
Yeah, my homie Armor. He's still like on the same block as me. FaZe. Who else was there? Some dude Habit. There's a few of us, but those are what I remember.
At this time in junior high, were you also part of a crew called TOK?
Yeah, I got in after TRL. Well, I was in both of them at the same time, but TOK.
What did TOK stand for?
The Only Kings.
Why did you decide to join TOK?
They were all cool. Just went to school with them. We hung out during lunch, and the food were like, the food about writing too. So I just got in.
What was your brother's crew's name?
Back then it was a YBD. It was young but dangerous.
Why does that crew die out eventually?
I mean, right there in junior high, it'll be like a crew, and that crew will leave, like whoever was running that crew, and then like whoever was like the 8th grader now has their own crew, and it'll start up at that.
Back to TOK. TOK was a notorious crew in those days, and it said they forced other riders to drop their crews. Would you agree? Can you talk about that?
I don't remember that. We'll go at it with a few people, but like we wouldn't try to force anyone. We had beef.
How do you join TOK? What happens?
Just hanging out with them, and I just end up getting in. I'm always with them. That's why.
How big does TOK eventually get? How many members were in it during its heyday?
Damn. I don't remember. I know there's a few of them that would put in work, and those are the dudes that I would hang around with, and there was like a bunch of other dudes that were like probably from school, but wouldn't really go riding or anything like that. But I don't know I don't remember how many people were from it.
During this time, what other crews and riders do you remember from John Muir High School?
From John Muir?
Yes. Were there any notable superstars that eventually emerged from there?
Nah, none of them. I don't remember no one.
It seems in this era, you were up all around school. Handrails, doors, walls. How were you so prolific and not get caught in school?
I never got caught like red-handed, but I know a few people told on me, and like I remember I had I think it was the 6th grade. Like half of the semester we had to do nutrition and lunch in a classroom, like but it was all like my homies, like probably 13 of us right there. But we had to go get our lunch and then come back to class. It was within the maintenance program. I guess the maintenance coordinator didn't want to put us on blast with the principal of the school, so we just had to do that as detention, I guess.
Most of your spots were streaks, unis, and acrylics. How would you get your supplies in those days?
Damn. How would I get them?
Would you steal them? Your friends hook you up?
Yeah, a friend will hook me up. I wouldn't really steal them back then, like in junior high. There was a store in Huntington Park called, I think, Lunatics, and then turned into Mainline. I'll go there for streaks and stuff like that. Catch a bus at 108 down Slauson.
In your career, have you ever stolen supplies?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Have you ever been caught stealing supplies?
No, I never got caught. Like I got caught taking them, and like they never just like I'd give them back and then take off. They wouldn't call the cops or anything like that. But by the cops, never.
What was your strategy in stealing your supplies? What would you do? How would you get it done?
With going there with shopping carts. I did like a few times only. I wasn't really like too big on that, but going there with shopping carts, take some paint, other stuff we could return, and stuff like that.
As you're coming up in graffiti, does anyone teach you how to write or help you improve?
Not really. I just everything I learned, like kind of just watching what everyone else was doing on the street.
Do you practice at home on black books? Is your practice routine on the streets and testing things out? How do you practice to get better?
Like my tags, I would practice at home, like on paper. But like when I would go painting or like bombing, I would just practice like on the yard or the street, wherever I'm going.
Going back to your early school days, do you remember any fights you got into at John Muir?
At John Muir?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Were these fights because of graffiti?
Nah,
personal stuff?
Just personal stuff. Just someone looking at me the wrong way or rubbing me the wrong way.
Now, this era of the mid-90s as you're coming up were kind of the dying days of the tag banging era. Your crews that you were in, would you consider them as tag banging crews?
Kind of, but we're all little kids. We're like 11, 12 years old. Like we weren't really doing much. Just tagging within school. That was about it.
How would you dress back then? What was the style? We hear that back then crews had their names on their hats, their names on their belt buckles. Were you part of that era?
No, I wasn't. I didn't do that. But I would dress like kind of like a gangbanger. Like I had solos, big pants, flannels, stuff like that.
Would you also shave your head? That was pretty big back then.
Back then in 6th grade, I had long hair, and then but like in high school, I started shaving my head.
Now, back to the tag banging. How would you define tag banging? You said you were little kids, but
Yeah.
kind of tag bang. Why do you say that you guys were up and coming kind of tag bangers?
Because it wasn't really about graffiti. It was about like, well, about writing, but more about like just the beef, just trying to fight or stuff like that.
In those days, you mentioned writers were getting jumped into crews.
Yeah.
What was the process? Did you get jumped into your crews? Do they jump you in for 13 seconds? Do multiple people jump you in? What happens?
I think it was only one crew, that crew YBD, but I don't know how many seconds. It was a few seconds, and it's just like that was their way of getting someone in.
YBD, that was your brother's crew, correct?
Yeah, I think it was someone else's, but like they took off to high school, and then he took over and continued it. And yeah,
Why does your brother's crew jump you in, but the other two crews you joined let you in?
in high school?
Yeah, in junior high. TOK and...
No, TOK is from high school.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah,
see.
it's high school. Yeah.
I see. Now, how was beef settled back then in those tag banging eras? Would you jump people? Would you fight one-on-one? Or would you battle other crews? Do you remember that?
Like again, like for the junior high, it was like within school. So like if you have beef with someone, you just get down with them. You'll be slashing them in school. Like I wouldn't see no one really up outside of school, maybe around like just the perimeter of the school, but that's about it.
Would writers carry weapons in those days?
Yeah, they would, yeah.
What kind of weapons? Can you name a few?
All I see was like knives, maybe like little bats and stuff like that.
Do you ever get a gun pulled out on you in those days?
In
Can you
junior
talk
high?
about that? Yes. During the tag banging era in general?
In junior high, like I was like 12 years old, but it was in Boyle Heights. I was on the street though. I was catching spots. Like I would leave it early in the morning. That's why like, before it was my favorite time to go, like early in the morning, like 3:30 in the morning. Take out from my house, and I was on the way back, and some dude fucking pulled a gun on me and robbed me. And I was like 12. This dude was older. I was like, damn, like he just.
What
took,
did he say to you?
He was asking for bus change at first, and I seen him, and then I passed him, and I keep walking, and then I see him again ahead of me. I was like, what the fuck? So I guess he put it in his car or something and went around the block, and then he jammed me up, and I guess I had my unis and they were like changing, and like, oh, let me get that change with his gun. I was like, fuck, like it's not changing shit. Like what is it? Like markers? Like, oh, you're a tagger and shit. I'm like, yup, and I fucking yeah, he took my markers and shit. I was like, fuck,
Damn.
that's all I had really and shit, the markers.
Man.
Yeah.
You yourself, after this incident, do you start to carry a weapon or even a gun?
I would always carry a knife, like not at that time, but probably like in high school. But after that, like it didn't really faze me. I just went home to my brother, and he was like, "Oh, you just gotta be more careful," you know. Like all right, that was it. It wasn't too big of a deal.
Going out at 3 a.m., do you sneak out of your house? Do you walk out of your house? Do your parents notice you're gone?
Yeah, I would sneak out. Everyone will be asleep, and I'll try to get back like before everyone wakes up.
How would you sneak out? Through a window, through the door?
To the back door, and then I'll go to the backyard, to the back fence.
Do you ever get caught sneaking out?
I think I did. Like when I was coming back, they were like up pretty early, like at 6 in the morning. It was on a weekend, and when I was walking, I seen them from the corner of my eye. So I just stood back and just waited like for a couple hours till they went inside. But they never told me nothing, so I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going back to TRL and TOK, did you drop those crews or do they die out? What happens to those crews eventually?
TRL, I think I just got out. I think it's still around too, TRL. And then TOK, is just like after high school, like these guys were writing, like there's like 3 of them that were really like bombing and stuff like that. And they just stopped like after high school. And then like I was still writing it for a while, like probably a couple of years. And I just decided just like to move on.
Now, let's move on ahead to your high school days a little bit. After junior high, which school do you attend?
Garfield High School.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Where's Garfield located?
East LA.
Around what year is this? Do you remember that era?
Like in the 97, 98 maybe?
Do you go to Garfield all 4 years?
Now for the 9th and 10th grade.
What name are you writing when you hit Garfield?
I already have doctor.
Are you in a crew when you hit high school, or are you a oneer again?
Not from TRL. Like during high school, I was from TRL, TOK.
Does anyone from your old junior high come to Garfield with you and continue those crews, or are you on your own again?
Yeah, I'm my own.
What crews are in Garfield at that time that you notice?
Shit. It was us, TRL, TOK. Honestly, I can't remember none of them, like, at all.
Was this still when you hit high school, is this still kind of the tag banging era, or is it dying off and transitioning to something else?
It's a little bit tag banging, like same thing, just getting in fights and stuff like that. I don't know if that's tag banging, but there were no shootings or anything like that, just like fights.
When you do hit Garfield, do you get into any fights there?
Nah.
How would your friends describe you in your high school days?
In my high school days? Damn, I wouldn't know.
Schoolboy, troublemaker, only into graph.
The first year, probably like schoolboy, because I wouldn't want to ditch or anything like that. And then that's about it. But yeah, that and graph, yeah.
When do you finally start to ditch? What happens?
Probably in the 10th grade, and I would like, I just gave in, I guess, started taking off, and then it was pretty easy, just.
How would you ditch school in those days? Jump a gate, walk through the front door, not even go to school?
No, I would just hop the fence. I would always try to make it a second period, because if you miss second, which is homeroom, they'll call your house. But if you go to second, then they never call.
When you were ditching, would you go out riding, partying? What was the routine?
Yeah, we'll go riding, hang out, catch a bus somewhere, and just tag.
In high school, were you regularly sneaking out of your house back then to go riding and make it a mission?
Yeah.
Or would you just, whenever you walk?
Usually every weekend, that's when
every
I'll sneak
weekend?
out. Yeah. It's like a day out of the weekend.
Do you ever get busted at Garfield High School for riding?
No.
Would you write in school at Garfield?
I wouldn't, no.
Why not?
I learned my lesson like in junior high because I was writing in school, and it kind of went overboard, and which got me caught up. They never caught me, but they knew what I was doing.
In these junior high and high school days, do your parents ever catch on to what you're up to? Your underground writing career.
Yeah, I think they do, yeah.
What happens? How do they catch you? What tips them off?
Yeah, I was getting set up to sneak out in the morning, so I was putting my backpack like outside the fence, and it's full of cans, and they found it, and I was like, oh, it's my friends, but they didn't believe it, and they just like they took it, and I was like, damn, but for sure they knew.
Do your parents get mad at you? Do they punish you?
Nah, they just talk to me like, what am I doing, and you didn't get in trouble, stuff like that.
What goes through your mind? Do you ever consider quitting then?
Nah, that time not at all, nothing.
How old are you think, when this happens?
Probably 14.
14?
14, 15.
Wow, that's pretty young. Now, in high school, what crews do you join? Do you join any new crews or?
Yeah, I was from TRL like during junior high, like maybe like 7th, 8th grade. And when I was in high school, I joined TOK.
I see.
Yeah.
Were you TOK all throughout high school?
Yeah.
What other writers do you meet in high school? Any friends you had or writing buddies? Who would be your closest friends in high school?
Like to go riding, like there's the Rise TOK, some do Setter, some Elos. Those guys they were bombing back then. Like they had a little run. Just everyone for TOK really.
Was TOK the biggest crew in Garfield back then, would you say?
Not really. I don't know what crews were right there. There was other crews, but it was just like a little different. Than like junior high, like you could tell like what crews were there. And like in high school, everyone was just like doing their own thing. Like there was a few crews, but like nothing big.
While at Garfield, what would you say was your best memory in high school?
All the writing, just the graffiti. Just meeting everyone and going out writing.
Around this time, This is also when those Fox 11 Tagger special reports were coming out on TV. Do you remember watching those?
I think I watched them after. I didn't even notice that, honestly.
Do you remember hearing about Chaka on the news getting busted back in that era?
I think that was before my time. Like, what year was that? Like,
early 90s, mid 90s?
like I started in 95. Like, I heard of him, but like I don't remember seeing that on TV.
What had you heard about Chaka? Do you remember?
Just that he killed a 5, up and down the 5, and they got caught up.
After writing the name Thus, when do you first consider writing Dr. One? What made you decide to change your name to Dr. One?
Like in the 7th grade, I was like 12. It's kind of my real name. Like, it has to do something to do with my real name, and I had it on my backpack. And some chick told me, like, what do you think, you're a doctor? I was like, what? And I was like, I thought you're like just a dumb chick, like whatever. And on the way home on the school bus, I was like looking at my backpack, like, damn, like, that's a tight name. And from right there, I started writing doctor.
So you would have never changed your name from Thus if it wasn't for that comment in your backpack?
Much. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Once you start writing Dr. One, do you tell your friends right away that you're changing your name? Do you keep it a secret?
I tell my brother, and like in school, I wouldn't write Dr. One. I would just write it like on the street in East LA. Cause I felt like in school, it was like more just inside the school. And like everyone would talk, like tell the teacher or something like that. So I just kept it to myself. And I was writing like in the streets.
You were writing Thus in school and Dr. One on the streets.
Yeah.
How does everyone find out you're finally Dr. One and put the two together?
Well, the dudes I would hang around, like my block, they all knew like I changed my name. And just in school, like just a few people knew, but I just kept writing Thus because they knew like it was just kind of a burn. And I was like, I'm keeping this name.
Why do you finally drop Thus? What happens when you say, fuck it, it's Dr. One?
I leave junior high and hit high school.
When you start writing Dr. One, what do you do differently than what you did with Thus? Is there a plan, a strategy to take it further?
I think I would walk I always catch a bus, so I didn't have like access to the streets really. But high school, it was nearby, like probably 2-3 miles away from my house. So I'll go walking every morning. I'll take different routes, just riding and riding. Like some spots, I'll have like 4 or 5 spots on the same little corner. And just like that, just over and over and over.
Do you ever get busted on the streets by police at this time when you're writing Dr. One?
I got busted, but not with my name, just with the backpack full of cans.
What happens? Do they take you in? Do they give you a ticket?
Yeah, they take me in. Like, I remember I had a sprained ankle. I wanted to go riding. I was like, man, like it's pretty good. Like, it's almost there. So I take off with the backpack full of cans. And I could have took off running, but I couldn't. My ankle wasn't like 100. So I just threw them in the bushes, and they pulled up on me, and yeah, they took me in.
How do you get caught? What were you doing? Did you not see them passing by, or?
I guess it was early in the morning, like probably, it wasn't 2 hours, the sun was already coming up. But they noticed me, and yeah, they pulled up on me.
When they take you in, are you bailed out? Do they call your family?
Yeah, they call my mom and pick me up.
Does she bail you out? Do you spend days in jail?
I don't think it's bail, they just come pick you up. Like as a juvenile, they just get you out.
What are you charged with? Do you get community service, a fine?
I got charged with vandalism and vandalism tools.
Do you end up doing community service for that?
Nah, like I went to court to East Lake, and we were waiting all day, and they never called my name. So they called me to the side. I had to go to another office, and they get a number to call. And I was like, that's strange. I called it, and I guess it was like a pilot for Paramount Studios, and we did court right there. It was like 12 like jurors of my peers, teenagers, and a judge like this sitting right here, and me and my mom were on this side, and the jury was on that side, and we gave our case. My mom backed me up though, like about the cans, so they just got me.
What did your mom say about the cans? She said she bought them for you, or what?
Nah, that I had them to paint bikes. So like they dropped that, and they dropped the vandalism, and just got me with vandalism tools.
So after you get caught, the criminal court sends you to a Paramount TV show,
like a little
where they handle your case.
Yep.
And you get out of it scot-free.
Now I had to do community service, and they put me on probation, but like I tried to check into probation and like it never existed. Like I was like, what the hell? So
When you do community service, do you meet any other riders there?
none. Like when I go do it, they're like just different type of kids with no riders.
Getting caught with cans in school is different than being arrested by the cops and going to court.
Yeah.
What do your parents say when you're facing these serious charges at that time, which I'm pretty sure you thought they were very serious, right?
Yeah. What did they say? They didn't say much. Like I could like I felt like I was doing whatever I wanted to do at the time.
After this run-in with the law, do you consider quitting then? Do you think about changing your lifestyle?
Nah, not at all.
Does anything change for you after getting arrested that first time?
Just carry less cans. Like I had too many cans on me. I couldn't waste all of them. That was just like in my mind I could waste all of them, but I couldn't. Just carry like a couple of them. That's about it.
Have you ever been injured while riding or almost died? Can you talk about a couple of those experiences?
Nah, never. Everything's goes smooth pretty much.
Around this early time as well, for Dr. One, there was a rumor going around that Dr. One was really Chaka because you were killing the streets so hard, and Chaka's real name starts with the letter D and R.
Nah,
Do you recall this rumor?
I never heard that one.
You never heard it?
Nah.
Okay. Moving on. In the early 2000s, your bombs and tags include DWK.
Yeah.
When do you join DWK?
Well, this was my crew. I kind of started it in high school too, and it was just me kind of. I was just writing on the side of my bombs, and that was like in 9th grade.
What does DWK DWK stand for?
Death Wish Crew.
What did your fellow riders from TOK say when they see you hitting up DWK?
They were asking what's that, and like I'll just let them know that's my crew. That's about it. That's something I write.
Do you recruit other riders into your crew, or what are your plans for DWK?
Yeah, I recruited a few people. I got the first one I got in was some dude. Ouch. He wasn't really a writer, but he started writing. And I was just like showing him how to do it, and that was the first guy. And then later on, like probably when I left Garfield, it started getting a few more people in.
How would they get in? Would you jump them in? Would you just check out how they wrote?
Yeah, how they roll and just like who they were and stuff like that. But that's like 03, maybe I started getting more people in.
Would you get these people in from school, from the streets in your neighborhood, or?
Yeah, the streets of my neighborhood. Yeah.
There's another figure in DWK, G's Up.
Yep.
Can you talk about him? You always seem to hit him up on your throw-ups.
Yeah.
Why?
That who's always rolling with me. Like half the time he's with me. Just he just don't paint as often, or he doesn't have the desire. I'm not sure, but he's always rolling with me like half the time.
Actually, many of your spots this year don't include a DWK. Are you still running the crew? What's the current situation?
No, I'm not running that crew no more. I dropped it. Just NCT now.
Someone else took over it, or is the crew dead now?
The crew's not dead because that G's Up is still writing it. Besides that, like who I had in, they're like either busted, dead, or just gone. Yeah.
Now, let's move on to your NCT era. Now that you have your soon-to-be legendary name, Dr. One, you also join one of the most well-known crews in San Diego graffiti history, NCT.
Yeah.
How does that come about?
That dude Sex from NCT, he's the first one that got brought it over here, I think. And he recruited me like in '04. I just got in and yeah, it was matched up good.
Do you ask to get into NCT? Does Sex NCT see you up and look for you and recruit you? How does that happen?
Yeah, I'm sure he's seen me up, and yeah, he asked me to get in. I thought about it for a little while, and yeah, I just, it was a good match.
Do you remember first meeting Sex?
Not really, but I remember like the first time painting with him.
Before meeting Sex, had you heard of him?
Yeah, I heard of him, yeah.
What had you heard of him? What was his reputation on the street like?
Well, I remember like in '03, I forgot who, I think it was Fucked. Ease, maybe Sex. The fourth guy I don't remember, but they came on the news for hitting the heavens, and I noticed that, and I had ran into all those guys in Home Depot in the can section, and they're like, oh, it was these dudes and shit. Like, that's right. And then yeah, that's how I heard about them.
Do you encounter them again? Do you guys switch phone numbers and information? How do you link up with them again to get into the mix of NCT?
Yeah, that year I had ran into them a couple of times, and like I'm pretty sure that's what happened, because I ran into the river at Home Depot like twice, and then somehow we just linked up. And
that first time you meet at Home Depot, how do you start communicating? Because usually writers avoid each other sometimes, you know, unless they hit each other up.
Back then, I wouldn't be confrontational, but I'll ask, like, hey, what you guys write? Like,
yeah. What does NCT stand for?
Nightmares Come True.
According to an interview, Sex NCT says the crew started in 1997 in San Diego. Can you confirm that?
If he says this, must be true.
Do you know the history of NCT?
Nah, not all of it, no.
Do you know who creates it? The writer's name or the writers?
I think Sky NCT. I could be wrong, but I think that's who started it.
Do you know who some of the original members of NCT were?
Sky, Pubes, I think Messer, Bear. Who else is there? Those are what I remember right now.
NCT, legendary graffiti letters. Nightmares Come True, an incredible name. Do you know who comes up with the letters and the name Nightmares Come True?
You know, honestly, I don't.
What did NCT originally stand for? Was it always Nightmares Come True?
Yeah, when I got in, that's the name, like, Nightmares Come True, and then it's other stuff too, but Nightmares Come True.
What made you want to join NCT to begin with, and not a different crew that represented Los Angeles?
Before I was from NCT, I had gotten to CDP, and I was like, that was a crew I seen growing up. And when they asked me to get in, I thought, like, wow, you know, like, I want to get in. And when I got in, they were all cool, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I seen these guys coming up, like, they were kind of new too, like fresh. And I just gravitated towards them. And I dropped CDP and got into NCT.
How long do you represent CDP?
Probably like a year, less than that.
Who recruits you in CDP?
It was a Twism CDP.
How do you join? Does he just tell you to join? Do you have to complete missions? What are the requirements to join a crew like CDP in that era?
That was like 2003. That's like when I started coming out of East LA. I got my first car, and his brother went to school with my homie Balf, and like his brother kept calling, "Hey, tell us to roll up," and eventually I went to their house, and we're chilling. Like, I think I went like a few times, and I got in, and then I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna get in," and like it was cool. Just like they're all cool. I still talk to them. It just I felt better with NCT.
Can you name some of the members in CDP back then? Because they were a huge known crew back then, doing giant rollers everywhere.
Yeah. Like when I got in, they had like a little meeting or a little get together. Like Zwick, Twism, Cal, City, Sector was there. There was a bunch of dudes right there. They were pretty deep.
How do you tell the CDPs that you no longer want to be in the crew? Is it kind of a touchy issue? Do they have your blessing? Do you have their blessing?
It wasn't touchy, but like that's how I felt. So like, if that's how I feel, I'm gonna just tell them. You know, I told them, and that was about it.
Who were some of the other writers in NCT when you joined? Was it a small crew? Was it huge? What was the?
It was kind of small. Like it was I can't remember what it was. Sex, Actor, Fucked, Ease, Gyre. There was a few of us.
Does NCT have regular meetings in those days, or does everyone just communicate through phone? How do you guys get together?
we'll have meetings, but like we just hang out like here and there. Like we like little different groups, but like we all like link up.
You mentioned Sex brought NCT to Los Angeles.
Yep.
How does he get into NCT in San Diego to bring it to Los Angeles?
You know, I'm not even sure. I think he just went out there and met these dudes, and they got him in, and he lived out here and started up over here.
Are there still active members in San Diego who represent NCT?
There is, yeah.
Who keeps the crew alive there? Do you know?
There's some dude, Bizarre, Bays, Pubes is out there. Who else is out there? Just a few guys. Like, yeah.
Sex, NCT, a legendary figure on his own in graffiti history. What type of person is he? Can you tell us a little bit about him?
He's cool. He's chill. He's a funny dude. And when it comes to painting, well, back then, you know, he's not painting right now, but he was always with it, like to go paint and just motivated.
Do the two of you ever go riding together?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Where would you go riding with him?
Different spots, just bombing, like different parts of the city.
What was his take on graffiti? Would he just kill shit without giving a fuck? Would he be careful? Would he plan his missions?
Yeah, they were planned. He was cautious, but at the same time, like they're kind of like hot spots, so you gotta have that. Just go for gusto.
Sex, NCT. For a while, it seemed he was up everywhere we turned, but he stops writing. Do you know why he stopped? Why does he retire and put his cans down?
I'm not sure. I don't think I was around for that when that happened, so I'm not even sure. I didn't even ask him.
Another well-known writer in NCT is Fucked.
Yep.
Do you remember first seeing him up?
Yeah. I do.
What were your thoughts about him, and what was his reputation on the street?
He just killed, and then like I've come to find out he wrote another name back then in East LA because he's from East LA or Royal Heights, and I would see him up back then when I was younger. He's a little older than me, and just but he would kill, and he's one of the guys I see on the news in '03.
What would Fucked write? Can you share that with us or no?
I don't know if he wants me to share that or not. But
I understand.
yeah.
Were you in NCT before Fucked or after?
After, yeah.
What type of person is he? Can you describe him as well?
Yeah, he's cool, chill, outgoing.
Do you ever go riding with Fucked?
I'm sure I have, like not too many times, but I'm sure I have.
Again, NCT crew known for legendary graffiti writers. And Fucked was up everywhere.
Yeah.
What happens for him to stop writing as well? Why does he retire? Is he retired?
I don't think he's retired. Like, I think I went out this year I was out with him, caught the 101. So he's still out there.
In a 2006 interview, Fucked, Sex, and Actor from NCT mentioned that graffiti kept them out of gangbanging. Mm-hmm. Would you say it did the same for you?
Not really, no. Somewhat, but not, no.
Has NCT ever battled any crews?
Not that I know of, not that I was involved in. I don't think so, no.
Now, once you have the name Dr. One, and you're in this up-and-coming crew NCT full of heavy hitters, what becomes your goal at this time?
Just to smash, try to get up as much as possible.
What motivates you to hit the street so hard at this time?
It's just what I do, I guess. That's what I like doing. That's what I love doing.
As you climb higher in the ranks of graffiti, your name's everywhere. Is there something during your career that happens which makes you realize you're one of the biggest writers in graffiti at that time?
I don't think I ever realized that. Like I was just doing it. Like all this whole time I've been writing, I don't really see myself as being one of the most up. But I know I'm up, but not like that. I just go out there and do my thing.
In the early 2000s era of Dr. One NCT, who are some of the other writers killing the streets? Can you name a few that you would see when you would go bombing?
Like when I started coming out of East LA, when I started venturing to downtown, I remember that dude Raylos. He had that shit killed already. The downtown kid. He had that killed. Some dude Rennes from NHC. Shit. There's a bunch of dudes like who else? That dude Keen from P&K. He had gang of tags. That's like when I was in high school. And just a bunch of dudes, like a lot of names.
Have there been any writers that have inspired you that you always get a kick out of seeing on the streets?
Like when I started writing, like in '95, like that's when I think I was like the most influenced. Like once I hit high school, I was just doing my own thing. I wasn't really paying attention to what everyone else was doing. But like when I started, like I think back in '95, and I'll see that dude Gray, Spare, and like Solo and them. They kind of that's where I was influenced. I don't know those dudes and shit, but that's what like 11 years old when I started writing. That's what I seen, and that's what I wanted to do.
You're writing everywhere. You're getting up consistently. Who would you say has been your most consistent writing partner over the years? Have you ever had a consistent writing partner?
I don't think I have. Like in '03, I had a couple of guys, but which was my homie Balf, CERN, and my homie G's Up. But CERN, he passed away in '05. Balf joined the gang in the neighborhood, and then G's Up just like just chilled. He wasn't really painting, but I just go back and forth, or just by myself, I'll go out.
Around 2007, we first started seeing you out writing with a new up-and-comer at that time, Rackle, MTA. How do you two meet?
I don't remember how I met her, but I know we met like a few times, and then we started painting. But back then she was an MTA, but yeah.
Do you remember what crew was she from? Was she a oneer?
She was from CTE.
Would you know, does she ever tell you how she got the name Rackle?
She did, but I can't share that.
I understand.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about first going writing together with her? Do you remember your first mission?
I remember the first mission, but I don't remember what we got. Like,
do the two of you ever get busted together or end up in the hospital with injuries?
Nah, never. Everything went smooth. Like,
during this time that you and Rackle are writing together, does she join MTA and tell you about it?
I started writing with her like in '07. I met her in '06, and I started writing with '07. She was in MTA. She got into MTA recently, like last year.
I see.
Yeah.
So when you're out writing with Rackle, why doesn't she ever join NCT? Is there a discussion about it?
Not really. I don't really, like when I go writing with someone, I'm not looking to recruit anyone. I just go writing with them.
This leads me to my next question. Can you name a few of the female writers you've seen throughout the years that you've noticed on the streets getting up? Do you notice female writers at all?
Yeah, there's a few. I guess that chick Try back then, like, she'll get up, like, when I started writing, I'll see her up. That's what I remember. That's pretty much it, like, yeah.
Now, during your rise to the top, a few things happen. First, your name Dr. One is seen in a Christina Milian video for the song Say I. Do you remember seeing that, and what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I remember seeing it. You can't see the whole thing, but I could see it. So you see like the D, the R's right in the middle. I could see it. I thought it was cool. I wish the whole thing came out, but it was pretty cool.
Who tells you about it? Do you accidentally see it? What happens?
I think some chick tells me about it. I go check it out, and yeah.
Do you get reactions from the streets? Do your friends bring it up? Do other people notice?
That one never got brought up, no.
Then, in 2007, your name reached new heights of infamy when your LA River Bomb was featured in the first Transformers movie. How do you first find out about your cameo?
I didn't find out till it was on DVD. My homie was in prison, and he called me from prison, telling me that our stuff came out on Transformers. Like, what? I'm gonna go buy the DVD to watch it, and yeah, it was right there.
Who was your homie?
The homie Balf.
Nice. How do your fellow writers react Is it just the two of you that noticed? Do other people come forward letting you know about it?
Yeah, that one everyone was telling me about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do people treat you differently because of your new movie star fame?
Nah, I don't think so, nah.
As I mentioned, as you're rising to the top and at the pinnacle of your graffiti career, you seem to suddenly disappear in the mid-2000s. What happens? Can you tell us why you yourself stopped writing?
Yeah, 2008, I went to jail, and I was facing a pretty serious crime. And I was right there fighting for like 2 years. And I went to trial, and I was found out guilty, so I got out. But when I got out, I wasn't really doing graffiti. I wasn't focused on it at all. And then probably that year I got out, I had my son, and just started raising a family. Like that, I had my son, and then my daughter like 4 years later. I was just raising my kids. Yeah. I was in like graffiti was like a afterthought kind of.
Is your arrest graffiti related or no?
It's not.
I understand. For how long after this incident do you stay retired?
I got arrested in 08. I got out in 010, and I stood retired till last year, 2021. That's like 13 years.
Wow. During this time, do you keep track of the streets and who's getting up, or are you just not caring?
Now I'll keep track, but not like that. So like I'll just whatever I would see, and like I wouldn't notice too much. Just like the yeah, I would keep track, but not like that. I would just pay attention to it, but not too much.
What are you up to during your retirement? Do you miss the street? Do you get itchy finger? What's going through your mind? Are you done forever with graffiti at that time?
I was raising a family, and I would get itchy fingers, and I would want to go riding, but it just never happened. I remember I would buy cans during that time, so I had like a little 6-pack of cans, but I would never use them. I had streaks, I would never use them. They were just right there sitting, but I would buy them, but just wouldn't use them.
During the lockdowns of the pandemic, we start seeing Dr. One again on freeways, streets, the billboards. What brought you back out to the streets again?
Yeah, I wanted to come out. I think like in 2019, I wanted to come out. I remember going to the river just to try to do a bomb, and I couldn't do it. Like I was just like getting frustrated. And then I know like 2020 came, and it was all the shutdowns. I seen a bunch of guys come out. I was just watching that like, damn, that's tight. And I think I waited till the next year of 2021 in the summer. That's when I came out.
Do you practice? You said you went to the LA River, but it wasn't coming out good.
Yeah.
Do you practice before hitting the streets, or you just go out?
Well, the first spot I got, it was just kind of like, I just went for it. And it was kind of a chill spot. It was a river spot too, on the side of the river, in the tracks. And I was right there like trying to get it to look decent for like more than a couple hours. Just going back and forth on it. I was already ready to give up. Like, man, like this ain't for me no more. But I just kept going at it, and little encouragement, and finish it up. Got it done.
What actually happens to spark that interest and go back out? Do you see someone up? Does someone say something to you? Had you been thinking about it for months, weeks?
I was thinking about it, 2021. I was like maybe like a few months before my first bomb. I was catching like tags here and there. I remember like one Sunday I was out. I drove around like for 4 hours, and like I caught like one tag, just like the rust, the nerves. I couldn't do it. I was like, damn, like this used to be so easy. And yeah, I wanted to come out, and I just like some personal issues happened, and which helped me just come out how I came out.
Now that you come back to the streets and you're a family man, do you give any consideration to that and your kids and getting busted? Are you more cautious now that you have so much on the line?
Yeah, I'm cautious. I'm still raising my kids. It's just I have like more time on my hands. Like I have my kids half and half, and on my free time, that's what I do. Just graft pretty much.
When do you officially return? Do you remember the month, the year, the date?
The tags, I don't remember the dates, but it's like I remember my first bomb. It was in maybe in July or June, the middle of June or beginning of July.
When you make your comeback and catch that first spot, is that the only spot you catch that night, or do you go riding the whole night?
Now it was a day spot. It was in the tracks. You can see it from the 7th Street Bridge. It's right there rocking still. And now like I probably chilled for a couple of days. Probably caught some tags, and then I went back out again. Probably like 3 days later, caught a freeway.
In this current era, we see you catching a lot of freeway Caltrans signs. Why is that? Why are they your favorite right now? Are they your favorite?
They are my favorite. I just want to get the freeway sign. I started just like thinking about getting the freeway signs, the green ones. And I remember the first one, the Caltrans I got, and I remember that the other ones got buffed, and that one stood. I'm like, all right. And I caught the other ones, that one stood. I caught more, and they just kept staying, and all of them been rocking.
We also see you on billboards, spelling your name, DOKTER1. Were you always catching billboards, or is this new?
I would catch billboards. I started catching billboards maybe like in '03.
Do you remember your first billboard?
I don't. No, I don't.
What's the most dangerous part of catching billboards?
Probably just getting up, or probably getting down. It's the hard part.
Do you have a memorable billboard story where you've almost fallen, almost been caught and got away?
In downtown, right there on I think it's where Spring and I think it's Main where it splits. There's a billboard right there on top of the apartments. There's like an '04, '05 maybe. I was going up there with my homie CERN. We got up there and we had just started our tags, and we already seen the cops down there. And so we gather our stuff, and we see the ghetto bird on top of us. And we just run off, go through the fire escape, hit the alley. We were on bikes. Got our bikes and just headed back to East LA. And like from the Olympic Bridge, we look back and you see the bird circling.
Wow.
We were gone already.
Wow. Clean getaway.
Yeah, clean getaway.
When you complete a mission, billboards, freeways, whatever it may be, how do you celebrate? Is there a ritual after you get home safe?
Nah, no ritual, just happy as hell after we're done.
On January 1, 2022, you painted a 3-color bomb on the side of an abandoned building and numbered it 1 out of 100. Why did you number it? What's your goal with these numbers?
I wanted to reach 100 by the end of the year, but it's not gonna happen. Like I'm gonna restart that next year. I just have the time to do it. Like other things came up, and I'm just started tagging more than bombing. So I'm gonna pick that up again probably next year.
The highest number of bomb we found was number 26.
Yeah.
What number are you currently on?
That was the last one. Yeah.
What's your goal now? When you reach 100, what happens? What are you working towards?
Just to get 100, see how long it took. I know when I already came out in 21, I only was out for like 6 months, so the summer to the end of the year. And I think I got like 56, so that's why I want to get to 100 by summer, but it didn't happen. Retry it again next year.
Why don't you number the freeway Caltrans signs as well?
When I started, I wasn't really keeping track. It just kind of just happened. Like when I started noticing they were running, like little by little, I was like doing both, and I just started focusing on that.
Do you ever drive by your spots to check if your name is still up or if someone went over you?
All the time, yeah. Usually where I tag or anything like that, it's like the route where I'm going to work. So I like to see myself up. So like I take like different routes to work, or I work different spots, and that's how I find spots. And I want to see myself up on the way to work.
Does anyone still go over you, either on purpose or accidentally, or do you see more respect put on your name?
Yeah, I haven't seen no one go over me. So yeah, I guess respect.
As you said before, you're known to go out riding in the daytime. When you do your big bombs on the street, do you also go on in the daytime? What's your strategy when going out daytime bombing?
I just get to the spot and I just kind of feel the vibe. And like some spots, I think they're safer during the day than the night to get away with, just because of the area. And it seems easier sometimes.
Most of your bombs are bold, giant letters, DR and the number 1. Why do you replicate this bold style with 3 or 5 colors? Do you have a philosophy behind it?
Nah, just like that's what I like seeing. Like that's why I like doing it. That's why I like seeing like when people do that.
Many of your bombs have included rest in peace tags, remembering writers like CERN, Buck, Noter, and Oops. Who were they, and how would you like each one of them to be remembered?
They were guys that grew up like they grew up right there in my neighborhood. How to remember? Just they weren't well known, but they were just all cool ass dudes.
Now, I'd like to speak on today's era of writers. What are your thoughts on today's graffiti culture?
I think it's good. It has its good and its bads. Like there's quality writers out there that are putting in work, and I think it's always like that. There's always some good guys and not so good, and it's pretty good. Like overall, I'm happy with it.
Can you compare the two eras of graffiti you've been a part of? How do they differ, or how are they similar?
I think now it seems like a little more calm. Like just the spots, everything's like pretty smooth. Back then it was just like a little more hectic, just more cops, more gangs, more everything.
Who are some of today's writers you enjoy seeing up? Are there any?
Well, dudes from my crew like Click, Seven, they like getting in the heavens. I like that shit. And who else? Shit. There's a few that do rows. I've been seeing that guy up a lot. I'm trying to think who stands out. That do merch. See that dude up? Shit. There's a bunch of dudes. I just can't think of them right now.
You mentioned Click and Seven,
Yeah.
two writers who are killing the streets right now, also representing NCT. Have you been writing with Click or Seven?
I have not too often, but we go here and there.
How do they join? How does Click join the crew? Do you know his origins?
Yeah, he got in like right after me. He's from I don't remember how. I think Sex got him in as well, and like we had a little get together and we got him in, and he's been from ever since like 04.
Has Click been consistently writing, or these last couple years has he been going harder?
Yeah, I think he had like stopped for a while and he came back like in I'm not sure the year, maybe 2018, 2019. He came back.
Yeah, he seems to be hitting billboards really hard.
Yeah.
Also, another figure is Seven. Can you talk about him? When does he join the crew?
I'm not too sure because I wasn't like really around when he got in.
Is he a veteran of NCT now? Is he a new member, would you say?
He's newer, yeah.
Aside from writers today, can you name a few crews that are making their mark now that you see?
A few crews? Like
Yeah.
Upcoming crews or?
Any crew? Are there any crews that catch your eye now who are putting in work that you enjoy seeing?
Well, there's a few crews out there like the OTRs. Who else? The MTAs, Colt. Yeah, like those crews right there.
As a matter of fact, right now that you mentioned MTA, I'm not sure if you heard the news, but TKO and MTA have decided to set their differences aside and squash a 20-year beef. Do you have any thoughts about that? I'm pretty sure you saw them crossing each other out for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I seen it. I guess it's a good thing, I guess, yeah. Focus their energy on just graffiti, getting up.
You've definitely made your mark in graffiti history. You've hit the streets harder than most during your career. Who would you credit for inspiring you when you were coming up and making a name for yourself?
Like again, like when I was 11 years old, like those people I seen up, like in Boyle Heights, East LA, those guys.
You mentioned earlier your brother starting the first crew, inspiring you, you joining his crew. Now that you're a legendary figure in Los Angeles, what is his opinion on how far you've come? Do you guys talk about that?
Nah, we don't really talk about it. He just sees that, oh, I seen you up here and there, but we don't really get into it like that.
What do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment in graffiti?
Probably that roller that came on the Transformers. That's probably my favorite one right there.
Are there any regrets or wishes that you would have done something different in your graffiti career?
Not really. I just like, it would have been dope if I had someone to guide me, because I was just like kind of out there just learning on my own. But that's about it.
How would you like to be remembered in LA graffiti culture?
Just someone that has heart, that's out there killing it.
We always like to ask our guests, can you give us a top 5 list of your favorite LA graffiti writers ever? Or your Mount Rushmore of graffiti writers? Who would you consider the top 5 to ever do it?
Damn. I like to get to a Gray that do Spare. I seen that do Air Up. Shit. Who else was there? I remember with the tagging, there was some dude, K9er with the flares. That shit, I liked that before. The 5th one, that's about it. That's what, like, there's a bunch of them, but like, I remember those right there.
I understand, man. That's a great list either way. Now, if you could say anything to future generations of writers who see this video of you, what would you like them to know about you? Or what would you like to say about them to guide them in their future career?
Just, there are rules, just follow the rules, and besides that, just get out there and get up.
Dr. One, this has been a great interview. Thank you for sitting down with us and letting us and sharing with us your legendary graffiti career. Before we end this, would you like to give any shout outs to anyone? This is your time.
Just shout out to my crew, NCT, it's Click, 7, Sex, Fucked, Gyre, Argon, those dudes.
What does the future hold for Dr. One?
Just keep going out there and continue. I don't see a end right now, so just continue.
Dr. One, thank you for joining us and sharing your legendary career with our viewers. We look forward to seeing you killing the streets and having you back for an update. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. This has been the legendary Dr. One NCT.